All right, we're back. Thanks for your patience. So, as we were saying, Hunter Coin uh, looks like it's going into a serious accumulation stage right now. So, uh, I'll be accumulating, and we'll keep an eye on the levels that are coming up here. 3,100 ish. 2200-ish and 1500-ish. I say ish because again, and I can't stress this enough, these lines aren't really lines, they're zones. The price will move within a few satoshis of these zones by a few. That can depend strongly on the price of the coin. If we're looking at a coin that costs 60, then a few, we'd be looking at a range of about 5 satoshis. If we're looking at a coin that costs 60,000 satoshis, then we could be looking at a range that varies, between maybe 5 or 600 satoshis, or even a bit more. So that pretty much sums up what I wanted to look at with Hunter Coin. And there was another coin that we did look at last week that I think it's important we take a look at today as well. The coin, of course, being Potcoin. So we'll put that on the 13th, and we'll take a look at our chart here. We'll zoom out a little bit. We have to bring our chart back a little bit here. So April 13. Let's see here. Alright, well, something like this is what it looked like last time. And we put our lines in based on historical points. Moving along forward through history, we see that these levels that we put in are important turning points for the price, and they remain to be so to this very day. So since our last encounter, our price on Potcoin did spike up, moving towards the 20th of April as expected, and starting from there, the drop that I did warn people about. Potcoin seemed to me like it was going to do something very similar to what it did. So we see that the end of last year there was a big spike up here, and a huge drop afterwards. The price did continue upwards though, coming back to its level here around 800, 900 satoshis, moving in between 800 and 1,000 for a couple of days, and then going up to about 2100, 2200, up and down a bit. You can see that the price is moving consistently upwards, even though it's not keeping up with these spikes. And well, I guess this isn't necessarily a spike, but you can see what I mean. So we had major price movement upwards, moving in towards the 20th of April, and then bang, a dump. This could be coincidence. We can see here that a similar scenario played itself out at the end of last year. So, if Potcoin manages to hold the 2,000 Satoshi level, or even the 2,700 Satoshi level, then we're still going to be headed in the same direction. And I would say that the coin would be a good buy around anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 Satoshis. If we do break the 1,500 and 1,000 levels, I would be very concerned. This would start to be outside of our upward movement area here. If we just draw a quick line here to see, just to help us visualize the upward movement that I'm talking about, you can see that despite the drops, we do still have a floor that's increasingly growing in price. That's a very good sign, but this line is like any other line that anybody draws on a chart. It can easily be penetrated by the dropping price. I'm just going to move this a little bit and see if we can't get a better fit somewhere here. This is good enough. This is just a rough line. I'm not going to be keeping this on my chart. It's just to give me an idea of what's going on. So as we can see, there's a good chance that we're coming back down to hit this line here or somewhere very close to it. Like I was saying, we could bounce off the 2000 or the 1500 quite easily and continue our upward motion, making this a very good place to buy. But I'll be watching it when it gets around 15 to see that it doesn't take a huge dump from there. If I do buy at 15, I'll definitely be watching very closely to see if I'm going to prefer grabbing a bit more at the next level down, or just cutting my losses and selling the coins as it goes down. That needs to be an option at all times. Don't hold a trade forever and watch it empty your account. I know I did go over this previously, but I'm going to say it again and again. Don't watch your money disappear forever. And if you do buy here and the price turns around, don't immediately sell it at 24, because we could be looking at more of this movement here, which would imply that at some point in the future, maybe in a little while, we would see more movement up towards these same levels here. So I mean, take the profit that you can. If you don't think that it's going to go any higher, then sell for sure. But this is the kind of coin that I'm pretty sure we're going to see consistent movement on, at least for a little while. But I may well be wrong about that. I haven't done a ton of research on this coin. I really don't know where they're going with development, if anywhere at all. This could all be hype, all of this right here for the last 6 months. It could just be hype. We've seen it before and we'll see it again. This could easily drop down here into the low hundreds and stay there for a very long time. So if you're not willing to hold onto those coins for a year, you may want to hold off on buying and wait to see how low it can go exactly, at the risk of missing an upward swing at, say, the 2500 level. It could just turn around and start going back up if all your buys are down here at the 1500, 1000 and lower. Then you might miss out on that, but there's always another trade, and the markets are gonna be there tomorrow too. So don't just jump on something because it looks like it's going up right now. Take a look at the historical price levels and take a look at where it looks like the price is going to be going based on your own analysis. Don't be afraid to draw lines on your chart to help you get an idea of what the price is doing right now, and don't be afraid to cut your losses on a coin that looks like it's dying. I would say if you're thinking about doing that with a coin, do a bit of research first. Hit the forum up, see if they've got any activity there. Take a look at what's going on their website if they have one. Take a look at the Bitcoin Talk forums, see if they've got activity there. Look for activity from the developers, the people backing the coin, and also very important, look for participation from the community. a coin with a very active developer who has a couple of friends can make a forum thread look very active, when in fact it's 3 or 4 people just talking about how awesome the coin is. Whereas if you find a community where you have a few hundred people talking about how great the coin is and asking questions about where the coin is going and actually getting answers on those questions, that's something that has a lot more promise than just a couple of guys who've got millions of these coins that they're sitting on and just waiting for the next spike so they can dump them. Do some research on the coin before you get into it, and before you make any kind of serious investment, make sure it's a solid project that they have going. If you're just looking to flip your coins real quick, then you can probably rely on your price levels exclusively. As we can see, our support and resistance lines have held throughout time. I did draw in a couple of points here just for future reference. They may or may not become relevant. If we turn around here, I would expect most of these points to at least see some sort of relevance, with the exception of this one that I'm not sure why I put there, unless it was really just for this here. I'm going to reduce the time frame here and get a closer look. Okay, that explains that line then. So looking at the smaller time frame recently, since the 13th, we saw a nice big drop here. Good chance for people to buy in, assuming they had enough faith that the coin would bounce back up, and it did once and immediately started dropping back down again. We can see that it's dropping steadily, but still respecting historical price turning points, and that's exactly what we want to see. We could even throw in another one around here right now, since we do have some solid movement right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just put one in real quick right here. Make that a little more like his friends. This is a short-term line, so I'm not going to make it huge, and I'm going to make it same color, well, similar color to my other short-term lines, so that I can identify it easily. If at some point in the future I see that any of these lines become more relevant, then I'll go ahead and change them, like you just saw me do. I'll change this one again a bit, just to illustrate how simple it is to go ahead and change the color on any of these lines here using TradingView. You can change the color here, pick one, change the thickness, no problem, and you can even make it a dotted line if you want. There's a whole bunch of other details you can go into with these drawings. You can set yourself price alerts. Do some exploring here on TradingView. The tools that are available, even on the free plan, are very useful. As you can see, I could set a price limit here, price alert, sorry, here, and that would make a bunch of noise on my computer, send me an email. If I want, I could have it send a text message to my phone. It's really just another great tool that you can use here on TradingView. An example of where that would become useful, I could set a price alert somewhere, say at 1500, and if the price crosses 1500, it's going to alert me by sending me an email and setting off an alarm on my computer, and that'll have me come here and look and take a decision on whether I think it's going to turn around, so I can go ahead and buy some coins there. I might also want to set another alert at 1,000 and even lower for the same reasons. You can set as many of those as you want, and I suggest doing it if you see a coin that you think you might want to trade, but it isn't in your price range right now. It's not at a point where you feel comfortable getting into the trade. If you see, for example, well, Potcoin is a good example of this. I wouldn't buy in right now, personally. I just don't have that faith in it. But I might be interested in picking some up if it gets down to 1,500. So I could set myself a price alert here. I'll do one real quick here, just for fun. Add alert. Crossing this price once. Expiration. If it crosses that line anytime between now and towards the end of June, I'll be interested in knowing about it. So we'll create that. We'll give it time to process. And of course, TradingView wants to offer us another service. Oh, okay. So this I did not know about. Free plan, support one alert at a time. If you need more, choose an upgrade. Blah blah blah. So take that into consideration. I myself wasn't aware of that, so I'll go ahead and cancel this because I do have a price alert set up elsewhere that is more important to me. But I'll be keeping an eye anyway on Potcoin, and me personally, I'm expecting it to fall to at least the 1,500 point. So that I didn't want to get into a whole bunch of stuff in this video. I just wanted to take a look at what the lines that we drew last time look like on our charts now, 2 weeks later. And as we can see, those lines are being respected. We're seeing it a little bit less here with Potcoin just because of this huge spike here, but as we saw with Hunter Coin, there's considerable respect being given to the price lines that we did draw in. You know, it's bouncing here off this major trend price line that we drew. It acted as a resistance to the upward movement, pushed it down, and this one here did act as support for a few days, holding the price there before moving down to our next line, which is now acting as support. So this one will become resistance, and if we break through that, the next obvious resistance that we see will be up here. And we'll throw another couple of seconds on burst just to remind ourselves of what's going on with our historical price lines and the current price action. Again, this is where we were when the last video came out, right here, and we bounced up here to a line that we had previously drawn, bounced back down here. Now this I drew in a small purple line to point it out to myself, and another one here where it bounced back, came back down here, but still got pushed back from our major resistance that we drew in last time. Tried a couple of times. It did penetrate briefly, but was pushed way back up, and now we're bouncing between these lines here for now. We're likely to see a movement towards either this or this line very soon, this being the resistance to our upward movement, this one being support or the floor for the current price action. If we do bounce off here in a significant way, we're going up again. If this is rejected in a significant way, then we're going to see more movement in between these 2 points. Just want to point out that the difference between 158 and 208-ish, we'll say, is 50 satoshis on 200 total possible. So we're looking at very good profits here. If you catch the price here and it does go all the way up here, that's awesome profits. If you caught it here and you sell it here, that's great too. 159, 160 to 180, 20 satoshis on 200 is 10%. That's not bad at all. And even just in here, 170, 180, that's still a decent, approximately 5% profit. So you could be doing this all day until it breaks one of these. Now, that's where it gets risky. If it breaks in the wrong direction, you need to either sell fast to minimize your loss, or be prepared to buy more lower to lower your average buy cost. So that pretty much sums up what I wanted to go over today. Have faith in your lines. If you see that your lines are, if you see that a line that you drew is irrelevant, don't be afraid to remove it. But before you do, just take a look back in history and see if you can't find a reason for you having drawn it in the first place. This one I'm going to move because it belongs further back. And remember to keep in mind two concepts: that of cutting your losses, get out before it's too late, or be prepared to reduce your average buy cost as much as possible. Getting out before it's too late can be risky. If you sell and lose 5 or 10% of your original value, it could easily turn around on you and start going back up, and then you may be forced to buy back in higher if you want to get those coins back, at which point you end up losing even more. And if that upward movement is a fake, then you could be looking at considerable losses if it drops again afterwards. We see a good example of this here. Somebody who was, we'll make it easier on ourselves, someone who was trying to flip their coins here, make some profits, saw it drop here, they might have been scared out and sold, okay, and then they see it go up here, and they, oh no, it's going back up, so they buy it, and then it drops back again below their support line that they drew here, so they think, oh, it's gonna hit the bricks again, so they sell it again. And each of these, they're losing a couple of percentage points of value each time, and then it shoots up. Patience would have saved them this headache and loss. Then again, it doesn't always shoot up, does it? Good example here, you're playing this range here, you get in, you get out, you're making some good profits, you see this dip here, it's losing, you sell, and then it spikes up, oh my goodness, so you wait for it to come back a bit and you buy here, it starts going up, you're real happy, you're getting your profits, and then it shits its pants and you're stuck with the price that you sold at before, wondering if you should hold on to it or sell it. And say you decide to hold on to it, it goes up a bit, you're happy, goes back down, oh no, oh no, oh no, you end up with a very low price, and not everybody's going to be willing to hold through this for the return. These lines are there for a reason. The price will attempt to return to them. That applies as much to the lines way up here as it does to the lines way down here. So you need to keep an eye on things, and you need to make sure that you're confident in the trade you're making. Set yourself a limit and stick to it. If you find yourself consistently cutting your losses too early, and you find that every single time you see it break your line, it goes down 10% lower, you cut your losses, and then it turns back around. Look at where your line is and consider maybe dropping it a bit. Would be a good example of a line here. It's not a huge dip below that line, but if you're trading on this line and every time it goes below it by, say, 5 satoshis, you get scared out and sell, well, one, you need to control that. The markets are going to try to scare you out of your positions. That's just a part of the game. And two, you can move that line. If you put your line here, is that going to make a lot more sense with your trading strategy? And will that make you more profitable? Because if you were buying it here at 124 but getting scared out at 120, maybe you should just be buying it at 120 in the first place. So lower your line and give that a try for a few days or a few weeks. See how that new line holds up, and keep it there for a while. See what happens with it. You can adjust these all you want, and you need to if you want to be successful. Just remember to go back in history and see how your changes are going to affect everything else that you've looked at historically to make that line in the first place. So that's going to be it for today. I will have another video out sooner than the 2-week delay that this took. Like I said, I've been pretty sick and pretty busy lately, so it's been a bit of a challenge to keep up with the videos. Next time we're going to take a look at some other ways of taking advantage of our support and resistance lines, specifically breakdowns and breakouts. We can see a good example here with burst. We see that the price is playing in between these two lines, and then it breaks out into the next region. Okay, and now it's sticking there. Now this could break out into the next one, or it could easily break down into the previous zone. No problem. Either way, we're going to be looking at how to take advantage of this kind of movement in the next video. So thank you very much for tuning in this time, and for your patience between videos. I know that some of you were expecting a higher frequency. I was myself, and I'm doing what I can now to get these videos out faster for you. Until next time.